Morning, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are here for the November 2016 Coffee Pot webinar series where we are talking about HubSpot with Joe Cavallaro from HubSpot to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about how it can hook into PracticeMaster. We are sorry we are a little bit late. Have you ever had 3 computers fail on you all in a row, all within 15 minutes of the webinar starting? Well, I have, but here we are, and we have regained our composure, right, Patty?
That is correct.
That is correct. And so we are going to talk about HubSpot. Without further ado, I am going to say, hi, Joe. How are you?
Hey, Paul. How you doing today?
I am living the dream. Now, Joe, I want you to tell us just a little bit about yourself while I go about switching over to you as the presenter.
Sure. So, hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Really excited to chat with you guys about inbound marketing and HubSpot. A little bit about me. I am originally from Rocky Hill, Connecticut, which is a really small town right outside of Hartford, Connecticut. I went to school up in Beverly, Massachusetts. And after I had graduated, I got a job in Boston and haven't left. So, excuse me. I am still in Boston. I have been working for HubSpot for a little bit over a year now as an inbound marketing specialist, helping companies grow their businesses using an inbound marketing strategy. So, again, really excited to share what we have going on over here with you guys. And like Paul said, certainly feel free to ask any questions if I get off on a rant as well. Happy
Could
to help.
your mother start one story and then have told 17 more?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I do the same thing as well. So would love to keep this interactive and engaging and welcome any questions or concerns.
Awesome. Now, Joe, did you get that button that says show my screen?
Yep. So I just clicked it. Is everyone, I just want to make sure, Paul. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So tell us about HubSpot, and then when you're done, tell us what you mean when you say inbound marketing, and then just go on from there.
Yeah, sure. So essentially HubSpot is an all-in-one inbound marketing platform, and I'll talk about inbound marketing and what that looks like and how HubSpot's going to allow you to execute on that strategy. Before I do get into it, I wanted to kind of take a step back and share a little bit about HubSpot's history, if that's all right with you guys, and why we started this company, how it came about. So back in 2006, our 2 co-founders, Brian Halligan and Dharmesh Shah, met at the MIT Business School right here in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And at the time, Brian was working for a VC firm. And Brian was really shocked by the amount of money that companies were pouring into their marketing efforts without really being able to see the ROI of their efforts. So things like radio ads, TV ads, newspaper ads, things like cold calling. It's really hard. It was really hard for companies to really understand how many customers or how much revenue they were driving from those efforts and the money that they were pouring into these efforts. And he couldn't believe it. And Dharmesh had a blog at MIT, and it was called OnStartups.com. And at that time, Dharmesh was generating hundreds of thousands of visits to his blog. And when Brian had met Dharmesh, he was shocked at the amount of traction that he was able to get just by writing a blog and the audience that he was able to cast out and cast his net as wide as possible. Just by the content that he was creating, and it was helpful educational content that people were coming to his blog for, and obviously it was around startups. So that's essentially when they decided that maybe we should take a look at the way that people are buying and consuming products, and they understood that that was changing. So, and businesses weren't changing. So they created this concept of inbound marketing, and that's when HubSpot was created. So you can see on this chart here that we've grown pretty fast, and we were at the very beginning, we had Salesforce and Google Ventures and Sequoia Capital were early investors. We opened up a few offices in 2012 that were overseas. Right now we have offices in Dublin, we have offices in Japan, we have offices in Australia. So we're very much an international company, and then we went public in 2014. Right now we have just about over 20,000 customers. So that's a little bit around the history of HubSpot and how we got to where we are today.
So what is inbound marketing? Oh,
sure.
It says that right there. It says that right there.
Sure.
Yeah. What is inbound? That was really my own question, I swear.
and we get that question all the time, Paul, and that's exactly why we made this page right here. So if you were to type in what is inbound marketing into Google, you would land on this page. It would be the first result to pop up to your Google search results. And essentially, this is the strategy that Brian and Dharmesh created. They literally and figuratively termed and coined inbound marketing, and they wrote the book on it. The idea behind inbound marketing is to take strangers that know nothing about your business, attract them to your website until they become visitors. Once they become visitors, we want to try to convert that visitor into a lead. Once they become a lead in our database, we want to then try to nurture that person to become a customer, because maybe they became a lead and they downloaded a piece of content or they gave you your information for a specific reason, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're ready to become a customer. So we want to be helpful and educational to those leads and those prospects and nurture them to become customers. And then finally, the last stage is delighting them until they become promoters of your brand and drive more strangers into this funnel.
Now, I'm going to interrupt and I'm going to ask, what part does HubSpot take? Does it start at the strangers and go all the way through to promoters, or where does HubSpot cut out and your other systems take over?
Yeah, that's a great question, Paul. So HubSpot is going to be the platform that's going to allow you to execute on this strategy. So yes, you will be able to take strangers and move them all the way to promoters using the HubSpot platform. If you look down here under Attract, Convert, Close, and Delight at these tools, essentially these are the tools inside of HubSpot that allow you to perform each stage. So just to touch on a little of them, I don't want to get too into them too much and get into the weeds a little bit, but just to touch on them. So there's a blog tool and a keywords tool that's going to allow you to attract people to your website that you'll be able to manage inside of HubSpot. There's a landing page tool where you're able to create a call to action that leads you to a landing page with a form on it to try to convert somebody into a lead. You can do all of that inside of HubSpot. In the close section, HubSpot is essentially an email tool as well, so it could replace Constant Contact, Mailchimp, any tools that you're using like that to send either one-off emails, or you could trigger a drip campaign. So let's say somebody comes to the website and they check out your pricing page. You can automatically trigger an email drip campaign based on that person's action using HubSpot. And then things like smart content and social monitoring and surveys are all great ways to delight the customers that you have to make sure that they become promoters of your brand. And again, everything that you see on this page, you can do inside of HubSpot. It's truly an all-in-one platform.
Now I'm going to jump in here because
Sure.
I want people to understand where PracticeMaster fits in, because that's what we're talking to you about, is bringing people to a law firm's website, attracting them, converting them to leads, closing them as people that want to have you draft their will or represent them in the auto accident they had, or any of the things that a law firm may close on. And right about the middle, this orange circle that says leads in it, is where you'll start to want to have them in your PracticeMaster system as well, simply because, especially when you close them, you are now managing a case for them. And so one of the things we're going to talk about when Joe's done talking about HubSpot is how we can coordinate the flow of information between HubSpot and PracticeMaster and how that sort of thing would work. So let's go ahead and finish up on what you're going to talk about as far as how HubSpot does that, or whatever your next step is. And I just wanted to kind of interject that this right about the center of that graph that you've got, or that that diagram that you've got on your screen now is where PracticeMaster kind of starts to come in, and the interaction between HubSpot and PracticeMaster is very important. Because PracticeMaster can't do these things that you're doing up front. It's not going to attract people to your website. It's not going to convert them with forms and landing pages. After the fact, after you've got them in as a closed deal where they're a customer that's having their will prepared, it's not going to suggest other things that they should be doing, like if that person that you prepared a will for also has a small business and needs an exit strategy and needs some small business management to tie that into the estate plan. HubSpot's not going to do that, but at the same time, PracticeMaster isn't going to be HubSpot's not going to do the work of creating that will, and HubSpot's not going to do the work of helping them to manage how they're going to exit their business or how they're going to have it flow to family members. But HubSpot's going to get them interested in that. And so at this point, you have things in PracticeMaster and you've got things in HubSpot. And that's part of the key here. That's part of why we're talking to Joe today is HubSpot does that sort of thing way better than we can in PracticeMaster, but we need to maintain this information in PracticeMaster. So go ahead, talk some more about HubSpot, Joe, and then we'll finish up and talk about how they hook together.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Paul. I'm glad you brought that up. Like I mentioned before, like our whole goal here and the reason why we started our company and what we're really passionate about is helping companies grow with limited resources, with smaller marketing teams, and that's where the majority of our business come from. We serve the small to medium-sized business segment, and we want to help you guys grow at that top. We use the analogy of a funnel. So at the top of the funnel, we want to try to bring in as many people as we can and attract as many people as we can to educate them on your business and then eventually nurture them until they're ready to become customers. So
I mentioned the fact, make them buy more things and make them stick longer.
Exactly. And so I mentioned the funnel, and I wanted to show this page. This is a great page to kind of illustrate that. So again, traditional marketing was broken, and that's why we kind of switched things around. We're not saying that all outbound marketing things are necessarily bad or not effective, but a good way to think about it would be to cobble an inbound marketing strategy and an outbound marketing strategy together effectively so that you guys can see a return on your investment, right? So that's what we really, really want to strive for, is making sure that the money and the effort that you guys are putting in from a marketing standpoint is actually turning into dollars and cents, and then being able to report on that so that you could go to your boss if you're a marketer, or you could look at it as a business owner and say, okay, these pieces of content or these social channels are actually driving leads and revenue, so why don't we double down? Or this campaign that we ran didn't really drive any revenue, and maybe we switch something or we take our foot off the gas in that area as well. So you can see some of the stats that we've pulled from the data or the research that we've done. The companies are actually 3 times as likely to see a higher ROI on inbound marketing campaigns than outbound marketing campaigns. Inbound marketing delivers 54% more leads into the funnel than traditional outbound leads, and outbound leads cost 49% more than inbound leads. That's a big one there too. Traditionally, things like TV, radio are pretty expensive. And again, want to reiterate that we're not necessarily saying throw those things out the window, but I know that a lot of business owners that I talk to struggle with being able to spend that much money and not really knowing if it's going to work. So that's where we're trying to step.
Let me interject, because the
Sure.
people that are listening to this live and the people that are going to listen to this later on in recorded fashion are here because they came to our website. And if we instead sent out, if we ran an ad in the Super Bowl saying, if you're an attorney interested in marketing and hooking it into PracticeMaster using HubSpot, that would be highly ineffective for a huge volume of dollars, whereas the people that are listening to this webinar right now came to this webinar because they came to our website because they had an interest in PracticeMaster, they had an interest in doing inbound marketing, or maybe they just stumbled upon the video that they're watching right now. But the point is, when they're inbound, they already have an interest. And when you're doing outbound work, you can target but it's still much more of a shotgun approach. You don't know that those people have any interest. You're just hoping that they do.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the people that are listening to us, they kind of understand that because that's why they're here right now. And we've found that to be extremely effective. We have many clients that are producing content to put on their websites. And so, yeah, it's the way things are headed. And I'm surprised from your graph that you showed earlier that the two gentlemen that started HubSpot were able to see that as early as they did, because back in, when was it, 2005? We hardly had the internet the way we do now, and now it is where people are going to find this stuff. And when they get there, if you're not doing inbound marketing, if you're not doing something with HubSpot to capture them and to continue to nurture that relationship, you're just kind of throwing money off the table. Maybe they'll find what they want, maybe they won't. But so how does this work? How does HubSpot get into these people's heads, if you will, as they come to your website and hook into them?
Yeah, so there's different ways, and to kind of piggyback off that question and touch on your point as the internet being where it is, it's if you think about the buyer's journey and somebody who's looking to make a purchase, whether it's a very small purchase or whether it's a very big purchase for their company, they go to the internet, they go to Google, they type in their problem, they type in a question, and what we want to help you do as a company is be the answer or get to the top of the Google search results so that they land on your website and learn about your business and your solution that can solve for the problem that they're having. So that's the whole idea behind inbound, and that's the whole idea behind HubSpot. And it is a little bit technical around search engine optimization and how you should optimize your web pages for SEO and how you should optimize your blogs for SEO. And we help you with all of that. The biggest point is that you don't need to be very technical. You don't need to be a marketer. You don't need to be a web developer to be able to execute on things like SEO that can be really hard for people to know. Google does a really good job of keeping things around SEO, keeping their parameters around SEO very vague, and they do that on purpose. It's our job as a company and as a solution to work with Google to figure out what those things are that they're looking for in a website and give you a platform to easily execute and get found online. So it's our job. We're taking away all that guesswork, and we're taking away the hard part by just putting you in the software.
Very good.
So I did want to touch on this funnel again, and if you notice, you'll see attract, convert, close, delight on the left-hand side. And again, it's just that last graph that I had shown, just flipped on its side and turned into a funnel. So these are some business challenges that people see at each stage, and I wanted to run through them really quickly just because there's people on the phone today that might have some of them, and we might be able to help. So at the attract phase, again, I mentioned this, but your website might not be optimized for traffic, your business lacks a steady flow of site visits, and the company isn't ranking for relevant keywords and search results. And you'll see on the right-hand side, 89% of online consumers use search engines when making a purchase decision. At the convert stage, people aren't looking at many pages on the website. That's, again, a business challenge. They're lacking the context for what buyer stage a prospect is in. HubSpot's going to give you the analytics to understand that. And then not getting leads from expensive purchase lists, which I know a lot of people do and a lot of companies do. And again, we focus on content marketing, and it actually, you can see the stat on the right, again, generates 3 times as many leads as traditional marketing, but costs 62% less. If you think about writing a blog that's going to solve somebody's problem or addresses somebody's problem, you write that blog, you put it on your website, it stays there until you take it down. It doesn't cost you anything besides some time out of your day, and it's actually going to be there forever. We have blogs here at HubSpot that our CEO wrote back in 2013. That blog today is still the main lead generator of our business. So it just goes to show how powerful content can be. And again, I just want to reiterate, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to cost you anything. If you think about things like AdWords or radio ads or TV ads or any of that stuff, you're really just renting your audience. You're paying for a specific keyword for a month, and then you got to pay again for the next month. If you write a blog about a specific keyword, you're not renting that audience. It's up there. It's on the website for people to find, and it's always going to be there.
And the more people that find it, the more it's up there. That's the way Google works. That's the way the search engines work. As people find it, click on it, go to the site, that puts it higher up in the relevance.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Whereas if you're just renting those words, like you say, you're renting them for the month until the check runs dry or the money runs dry.
Exactly. And then if we click over to the inbound methodology, and I'm just going to focus on this attract and convert stage since PracticeMaster comes into that close stage, and I think where we're really going to be able to help the people on the phone and where we typically help the majority of our customers are at this attract and convert stage. Well, HubSpot's going to be able to do in the inbound methodology how it relates to those specific business challenges. So at the attract phase, we're going to help you develop buyer personas, so understanding who your audience is, who your prospect is that's on the other side. We're going to help you optimize your website using SEO. We're going to create targeted content to attract your ideal audience. At the convert stage, we're going to build trust by providing helpful information, and we're going to provide valuable content in return for contact information. So this is that lead generation piece where you could create an ebook that addresses, so like for us it might be what's the 5 best methods of inbound marketing, something like that, where somebody might be interested in that, a marketer is going to be interested in that, and they'll actually give us their name and email in exchange for that ebook or that white paper. And that's how we start to generate more leads and grow the business. And then I just want to toggle over to this HubSpot tools, and this is really the last thing that I'm going to show today. But these are all of the tools inside of HubSpot. And I know I showed you them before, but it gives you an idea of where they fall in the funnel. All the tools inside of HubSpot that you're going to be able to use with any of our packages. So again, truly an all-in-one marketing platform that helps you execute on an inbound marketing strategy from the top of the funnel all the way down to the bottom of the funnel.
Awesome. Now leave that up on your screen, because what I'm going to talk about is that doing these things, even in the close and delight stage, doing these things are things that HubSpot really shines in. Yes, you can send an email from PracticeMaster, but you can't schedule a campaign, then say this guy should really be thinking about managing his small business for an exit strategy because we just did his estate plan and we think that's the next area that he should focus on, and so therefore we want to set HubSpot to start dripping marketing to him on that, and we want to see what he looks at and what he doesn't look at, and we want to see whether he clicks and whether he doesn't click, and we want to know all that. PracticeMaster is not going to do that for you, but PracticeMaster is where you're managing all sorts of other things, like whether you're sending him a birthday card or whether you're inviting him to certain webinars that you may give or live seminars that you may give on estate planning and exit strategies or whatever your area of practice may be. And so I'm going to switch presentation back to me, and I am going to show you how we can marry the two, okay? So I'm going to press a couple buttons here and end up in PracticeMaster, and I'm going to go to the infamous Purdue Law offices. I'm not in the client screen. So let's pretend that Purdue Law offices is somebody that we want to market with. Now, I have to disclaim here, we have several customers. We have one that's working on a HubSpot integration right now, and we have another that we've done one for. But neither of those customers are HubSpot integrations. Any sort of integration, a Mailchimp, a constant contact integration, is something that we write specific to the customer, to the client. So the law firm that we've written HubSpot integration for does not let us show that. They consider it to be proprietary, and the other one's not done yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Purdue Law offices, and so here is where we manage this particular client. And we also have a contact record for Purdue Law offices that identifies whether or not we wish Bill a happy birthday when his birthday comes, or whether we invite David to the webinars that we give every month, or any of those other things that happen. And we use Mailchimp for that. So what I'm going to show you is this Mailchimp Manager that will pull in a separate program. So here we are in PracticeMaster. Here we are clicking a little workflow over here. And now we're looking at information on Mailchimp for the 4 people. I guess I'm included as a person at Purdue Law. For the 4 people in our hypothetical law firm that we want to market to. Now, managing that marketing is not something that PracticeMaster does, not this email marketing. Here we're looking at a Mailchimp integration, but it could just as easily be a HubSpot integration. And so turning on whether or not they're invited to the PracticeMaster VUGs on a person-by-person basis can be as simple as building something like this. This is a custom program here that hooks into the client record level with this little hook here, this Mailchimp Manager. And seeing what's happening, that's stuff that HubSpot does well. Dripping those campaigns, you want to turn it on, you check a box. You want to turn it off, you check a box. You want to see what's happened? We're not going to store activity from HubSpot. Did they click on this? Did they get this? When did they get this? Did the other one go out yet? We're not going to store all that in PracticeMaster. It doesn't make sense. So instead what we do is we build hooks to show us, let's see, has Christina, oh look, she got the invitation to the Coffee Pot webinar. She opened it. She opened it 3 times, and yet she's not here. We're going to have to talk to her about that. So here's an example of looking at results, looking at information. You know, when were they sent this campaign? When were they sent this other one? When did they open it? You know, did they get the August 2016 tabs virtual user group? Yes, they did. Did they open it? Yep, they did open it. Okay, that's coming from, in our example, what we're talking about today, that's coming from HubSpot. Do we want to sign them up for this? Do we want to give them that? Do we want to do this? That's coming from HubSpot. Okay, so HubSpot does what it does. PracticeMaster does what it does, and we, Attorney Computer Systems, build some sort of a hook between the two using just a link or a workflow in PracticeMaster to bring up a separate program that exposes to us all the information about that particular customer or that particular client as it relates to HubSpot. And that's, I think, where a lot of our clients want to be. They want to use a HubSpot to do this inbound marketing, to drip campaigns out, to invite people to webinars every month or every quarter, to maybe even to send electronic birthday cards and things like that. And they want to use the features within HubSpot. They want to use PracticeMaster to manage these people that they're marketing to, and maybe managing other things that PracticeMaster does do well, like, you know, what have we done? What county are we going to have lunch with this guy next Tuesday? Like I think we are. Things that are related to the management of the case and management of the person. And they're looking for a way to marry the two, and that's what we can do with the integration. So I think it's important that you consider how you're going to do this inbound marketing, how you're going to handle whatever drip campaigns you may want to handle. And of course, I feel very strongly that HubSpot is the thing to do for that. And I also feel very strongly that if you want to go that extra mile, marrying PracticeMaster and HubSpot using some sort of a custom integration like what we've got here is going to be the ultimate icing on the cake. If you're using HubSpot to generate leads, to get people to come to your firm, to get those people that have come to your firm to do other things with your firm. If you're using PracticeMaster to manage those cases, great. Now, if you want to go that one extra step, bring in some custom programming, some custom code to marry the two. And that's it, don't you think, Joe?
Yeah, and I think you brought up a great point too, right? Like, so it's very important to execute on that inbound marketing strategy, be able to help grow the business, but equally as important is understanding what actions your potential clients are taking on your website before, or on your website with your emails before becoming a customer. What pages are they looking at? What pieces of content are they engaging with? What emails are they opening, and which ones are they not? What's the links are they clicking? Because then you could go back at into a contact record, and you could say, John Smith became a customer here. Let's look at all of the actions that John took before becoming a customer. Let's try to replicate that so that we could grow our business and get more customers. So it's definitely twofold. It's powerful as a marketer and as a business owner to really understand your audience and how they're interacting with your business.
Exactly, and that's what HubSpot does. HubSpot gives you that information. And PracticeMaster could never do that, but yet being able to have an attorney click on a button in PracticeMaster and see what HubSpot says about all that, that's huge. If you're about to call John Smith to say, hey, we think that you should have us do some exit strategy and some small business planning to go along with your estate plan, it sure would be nice to know how he reacted to the 7 drip marketing emails that you sent him through HubSpot before you get him on the phone. You might know that he's extremely interested. You might know that he seems to have lost interest after the 4th email. You might know that he never even opened up any of them, and be able to gauge that and use that as to how you would approach that, how you'd approach that call that you're going to make. And so mirroring the two, especially in an attorney's world where they don't have time to understand how to get into HubSpot and find out all this relevant information absent the system that they're in every day, which is PracticeMaster. So that's
Right.
it. That's HubSpot. That's how we can hook HubSpot together with PracticeMaster, and I think it's a powerful combination. I'm going to have to talk to you later, Joe, because we're using Mailchimp as we just showed. But all that does is send out our reminders about VUGs, virtual user group meetings, and these coffee pot webinars and the articles that I write. We don't really do any drip marketing, and that's what HubSpot goes way beyond the scope of what a Mailchimp or a Constant Contact would do. So if you're using those, HubSpot will do the things that Mailchimp or Constant Contact will, but a whole lot more. So, of course, we all know, since we're coming to these webinars all the time, that we don't end without talking about how you can get to this recorded content, our content on our website that is kind of what we're talking about today, is how to get people to your website. We do it with content, and that's why these people are here. So if you go to attorneycomputersystems.com with an emphasis on that last S in the word systems, can't forget that. I don't know where you'd end up. If you go to attorneycomputersystems.com and you hover over the video menu item at the top, or if you just click on it and go to the separate page, you will find that we have several different titles that we produce. 4 of them are live. You are currently attending one of our coffee pot webinars. We also have our PracticeMaster tabs and WorldDocs virtual user group meetings. Not only are those live events, but they are also recorded, and so they will be there forever and ever. We also have 2 pre-recorded series. Mary Jo records an e-bite each month for each of the 3 packages that we work with, PracticeMaster, tabs, and WorldDocs. And then we have our longer format Paul and Mary Jo show, where I or Mary Jo will take a much broader topic and go into much greater detail, spending 10, 15, 20 minutes exploring that. If we go to the Coffee Pot Webinars page, for instance, we will find more information on our Coffee Pot webinars. We will find the webinar that we're attending right now, or the next scheduled one, with links to register, descriptions of what we're talking about, and then, of course, as we scroll down, we have recorded everything that we do. And so here's last month's Symphony, OCR, and Pensoft Payroll. So if you have interest in virtually anything that has to do with Tabs, PracticeMaster, or WorldDocs, come here, scroll through the different titles, use the search box to search for something, and take advantage of these videos. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're there for you. So everybody have a good rest of the day, a good rest of the month, and we will see you next month at our Coffee Pot webinar series. Thanks much. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.